I was thinking of the personality stuff. I also asked suggestions from INTJ. So yeah, I call you INFJ. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Have you taken that, or was it just based on you thinking that you are that type? Or did you
Oh,
take
I've
some
taken
test?
the test multiple times.
Oh, and it's always INFJ.
Not always. The
Oh,
last
okay.
maybe two times it was.
Oh, and do you agree definition, the
I
description?
would say so, yes.
I saw a lot of like images or memes of that. And would you think that you are more logical or more emotional kind of person?
More emotional.
Oh, really?
I have the capability of being very logical if I want to.
Mm-mm. Mm,
But I
yeah.
think my default, when there is a problem, my
Mm-mm.
brain wants to go emotional first. And
Mm.
it's like for some reason I can process emotions better than
Mm-mm.
logic.
Mm. Yeah, I guess I agree with that.
Yeah, especially when you're comparing like any sort of level of complication.
Mm-mm.
I
Hmm.
feel like I can break down the emotions into something more simple
Ah,
more
yes.
easily than if you give me a logic-based problem.
Mm, yeah. I mean, when people say emotional, they would think that animated and stuff. So not that kind of emotional, right? But more thinking in emotions, I guess, or processing it. So yeah.
It's not completely
Mm,
none of that because I do
mm-mm.
cry very easily, for example. So I
Really.
think that there is definitely something inherently very
Mm,
emotional about me.
mm-hmm.
But with the conversation that we're talking about, I
Mm.
think we're referring more to if the problem is to do with emotions, let's say like the reason why there's a problem is because people are being emotional,
Mm-mm.
then I think I can come up with possible solutions and try and break it down to get to a solution more easily and quickly than if it was a technical problem. Let's say a washing machine stopped working. Like in
Uh,
my brain, it is a black box. I'm like, okay, where do I start? I'm not
yeah.
sure. But with the emotional stuff, I already know what to ask and already know how
Mm.
to make it better.
I see. So it's kind of like you're more good at peopling than another, like non-peopling,
Yes,
I
I would
guess.
say so. And it is definitely a big conflict by being an engineer
Oh
who
yeah.
is
Mm-hmm.
trying to solve technical problems by trade that no one expects me to solve emotional problems,
Yeah.
but yet I feel like I'm better at that.
So then would you say that in your family, for example, or your groups, you tend to solve the emotional problems or know how to deal with them?
Yes, in my opinion, I think I can deal with them better than them.
Mm. Oh,
But
oh.
then on the flip side is also that from their point of view, I'm a lot more
Mm-mm.
emotional and more difficult because if there's like some sort of disagreement between us,
Mm.
because my parents, for example, would rather keep the harmony and they also don't know how to
Ah.
process it or talk about it. They'll rather just stay quiet. Whereas I
Mm.
will talk about it and be like, I think that this is the problem and I think we can solve it by this. Whereas they'll look at me being
Mm.
like, okay, you don't have to be so vocal about it. We can all
Mm.
just be quiet and live in harmony and forget that it happened.
I see. So there's the emotional but willing to rock the boat to fix stuff, whereas
Yeah,
other people
exactly.
would preserve it, I guess. Ah,
Yeah,
interesting.
I think that I have the mental tools to work with
Ah.
it, whereas they don't have the tools, so they'd rather just be
Mm.
like, why don't you just leave it alone then? Why are you trying to tinker?
Mm. Ah, that's coming off to me as like, you know how there's brain function stuff that related to personality types. It's the
Hmm.
yours is the NI1, the intuition. I guess that's your tool in wanting to solve it. Whereas other people would want to keep it comfortable or like stable.
Yeah. And obviously there's different situations, like
Mm.
if I feel like tension is rising at work,
Oh, mm-mm,
most of the time, like 9 times out of 10, I feel like it's not worth talking about our emotions. We're better
mm,
off keeping it to ourselves and then moving
mm-mm.
on
I see.
because, like there's too many differing opinions and we're not used to talking about emotions with each other. But if it's with my family or with my partner or with a friend,
Mm.
I think that if I want to preserve that relationship and have a
Yeah,
genuine relationship, then we should talk about it.
yeah.
Whereas I'm okay with me and my colleagues staying surface level.
Mm-mm. Yeah, same. I guess I'm same with that. Yeah, related to that, I mentioned before that I often encounter videos like saying, for people who are confused, if you're INFP or INFJ, these are the how to find out which one you are. So with the some of them, one I encountered is the being concerned about the group feeling versus the self one.
Mm-hmm.
So something like that, I guess, is an example I encountered before. For example, in a group setting, something happens and someone gets upset and walks out, and it upsets the group atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you think would be your tendency to want to address first? The remaining group, fix the atmosphere there, or to check up on the person who just walked out?
I think there's always nuances in
Mm,
any sort of question like this. The
mm,
nuance here for me is that if it's a group hangout,
mm,
most of the times I would say that it is more worth it to just keep the harmony. I
mm-hmm,
think the only time that I think that it's worth walking out is if every single person in that room was belittling me or bullying me. They have a stance that's against me. Every single
uh-huh,
person. That's when I'm like, I'm going to leave. But if there's
mm-hmm,
even one person that's like, hey, we should stop saying that to Leanne, for example, or whatever
mm-hmm,
is happening, then
mm-hmm,
that's enough for me to be like, yeah, I agree. I'll still sit there and be like, it's okay.
yeah,
There's
mm-hmm,
some, at least one person here that recognizes it. But
mm,
if
so,
it's one on one, the people that you're interacting with becomes 100%, right? If the
yeah.
one person, the 100% person isn't being nice, then I don't think it's worth sitting there and pretending that it's all okay.
Mm. Mm. Would you say that you're okay, or have you tried confronting someone like directly?
Yes. Would you like an
Oh.
example?
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, okay, I have one from work. So there's this guy who speaks very loudly, and he
Mhm.
also has a very coarse voice and deep voice. So I feel like I get triggered by random things, and for this, because whenever he was talking, I couldn't hear my own thoughts.
Oh.
And I couldn't hear most other people talking to me. So if someone's talking to me and this person is also talking, I don't know, a few meters away, I
Mhm.
cannot hear anything. And
Mhm.
by most accounts, I could stomach that and deal with it and shrug
Mhm.
it off and, have to just play ball and be
Mhm.
harmonious. But the one time that I felt like it was too difficult is when we had to be in the same room together. This room was very small. It was like a 5 meter by 3 meter room.
Oh.
And he was talking at his normal volume, and I actually felt like my ears hurt, which it could be all in my head too, but it doesn't change the fact that I was very uncomfortable. And so the next day, when I had to do that again, I asked, hey, can you please lower your voice a bit? It's just really loud in this
Mm.
room.
Mhm.
And so he lowered it, but then after 10 minutes, he raised it again. And then I asked him to lower it again. And then I was like thinking, okay, I'd feel weird telling him for the third time. So I left it at that. After that, I just pretended to scratch my ear and sometimes just push the little lobe into
Ah.
the hole to make
Mm.
it less
Mm.
unbearable.
So then when you told him, like the first time, how did you do that? Like what approach?
I tried to make it sound like, which I still agree to this day, I tried to make
Mm.
it sound like it's only my problem
Ah,
by saying,
mm.
hey, sorry, my ears are really sensitive or something.
Mm.
Do you mind talking a bit softer?
Oh.
Like not to make it sound like
Yeah.
he's doing something wrong, but more that
Mm-mm.
I am just weird and
That's
do you
good.
mind accommodating me? Yeah.
Yeah. And how did he respond to that?
He didn't really respond. He just lowered his volume for 10 minutes.
Ah, mm.
It makes me feel like he didn't like the request because I feel like the people who don't mind, they're like, oh, yeah, sure. But he just
Uh-uh.
didn't say anything. He just
Oh,
lowered his voice.
okay. At first I
Yes.
was thinking maybe he's unaware that he just went back to normal.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of that too.
And yeah, since you mentioned sensitive ears, that's another thing that I've also read about. Like that's the low SE. The
Hmm.
senses are more sensitive to sounds, and light. Do you think
Oh,
you are
okay.
like that?
Yes, and I thought that I was just, I don't know, in a bad mental state.
Mm,
I still feel like it's the case. For example, I recently got a new job, right? And
mm,
I think that most things have become a lot more tolerable. Like things that used to annoy me, now I'm like, I can shrug it off and it's
oh,
fine. It's not a big problem. Whereas in my last job, there were a lot of things that could easily ruin my day. So it's kind of hard to objectively say which of those things
mm,
were inherently a problem to me, or maybe it was just I was in a bad mental state. But I'd say basically my whole life I have felt very sensitive to everything, to touch, to
Yeah.
taste, to sound, to
Oh.
sight.
Mm-hmm.
When the sun's just a little bit brighter or a light is a little bit bright, I feel like it's really hard to drive at night because a lot of the
Oh.
headlamps from cars are just way too bright, in my opinion.
Does that give you a headache?
Not a headache. I
Mm.
think it's just more like, when you look into the sun or something really bright and then you look
Ah,
somewhere else and then there's this
still there.
really bright white color. Yeah, yeah. It's like it's
Uh,
still there. It's just really hard to see afterwards. And then you feel kind
mm.
of annoyed because you're like, why did I let myself blind myself by looking straight at it?
So funny there, you know how comparing INFP and INFJ. So INFJ has low SE, like fourth function, whereas INFP is blind SE. It's like very low. That's almost non-existent. So with that one, I'm more the clumsy tendency, and like bumping into things without realizing, or like there's proximity error.
Right, right.
Can you relate to that, or do you have a
You
different
mean
word?
does my personality say that I do have that?
I think in your
Is that what
case,
you're saying?
yours, what I think I have read is more you have a lower capacity for stimulation, I guess, like the senses, but
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily that clumsy. Because you still have it. You still have the sense of maybe spatial awareness, but just
Mm-hmm.
a little lower than most people. In my case, I guess the stereotype is it's blind in there, so can get clumsy, like two in my head.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
For
Would you say
sure. I
that?
feel like, yeah, it's hard for me to multitask at all. If I'm thinking really deeply about something, yeah, I can easily bump into things or
Mm.
fully
Mm-hmm.
lose my train of thought for what I'm doing right in front of me. I could be washing the dishes and then I start
Uh-uh.
thinking about something and I just completely stop washing the dishes.
Oh.
Or, like you said, bumping into things. I could be walking in a space that I always walk on a daily basis, and then this time I decide to walk into it and stub my toe or hit
Mm.
my hip, and yeah,
Okay.
and it's because I was distracted.
So then it's kind of similar, being two in your head.
Yeah. But could this be
Mm.
more common than we think? Because I see a lot
Yeah.
of reels online
Mm-mm.
about girls, especially, who always have random bruises where we don't know where they came from. But then a lot
Oh.
of times we also walk into things. And so there's logic to how the bruise came from, but like we
Mm.
mentally don't
You don't remember.
notice it in the moment. Yeah, we don't
Uh-uh.
remember.
Yeah, maybe there is. 'Cause I'm not sure if I know a guy who is like that. Only in shows, I guess, but in real life, not sure.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
need to
Same.
ask.
I can't think of a guy who does that as much as us girls do.
I guess another topic I want to ask was suggested actually is about door slam. So
Oh,
I guess
yes.
I've read about that as well. It's like INFJs are famous for their door slams. Have you done that?
Have I done that? I have done that
How
so many
many?
times that it's what I'm known for in my family.
Yeah.
My brother always jokes about how I'm the person who cuts everyone off in my life.
So how does that happen? Like how does it get there?
I think the common theme is that when I express some sort of boundary and they cross it multiple times, depending on what it is, after the third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, sometimes I'm more
Mm-hmm.
patient, sometimes I'm more tolerant, I'll decide with myself, okay, no more. Like, I don't think that they can respect this boundary and I can't compromise on this boundary, so I have to cut them off.
And when you do cut them off, how does that happen? Do they know that you cut them off? Or
So my first default is to talk to them less. Like,
mm,
for example, if we don't go to the same school or job or anything, then I just not reply as much until I stop replying. Or one of my alternatives that I have tried before is to just be less close. So for a friend, for example, when they kept crossing my boundaries, I didn't mean to fully cut them out of my life. I just meant to be less close. So instead of seeing each other once every week, maybe just see each other once every 2 months. But when they realized that I was more distant, they pointed it out and really
mm-mm,
didn't like it. And that's when I was confronted to have to tell them why I'm being distant. And that's when we had the conversation, and then they didn't like it. And it became very emotional. Whereas, from my point of view,
mm.
this is very logical. I set a
Oh,
boundary, you crossed it multiple times,
mm.
so we should stop being so close. That it's
Mm,
like a simple equation in my head. It doesn't
mm,
have to be difficult at all. But for them, they were saying things like, "You're so hot and cold. I never know what you like or don't like. One moment you want to be friends, and the next moment you don't want to be friends." In my opinion, it's not that complicated. In my opinion, I have made it very clear, and it is not gray the way that they are describing it, but they're not on the same page as me. They don't end up understanding. And so, if we're having this heated conversation about it, by that point, I already wanted to keep my distance.
mm.
So, if it's going to be so difficult to keep my distance, I'd rather just not talk to them again. And that's how it pushed me to a lot of the times be like, let's just not
Mm.
even try anymore.
That makes me think, did they get sprinkles of you hinting to them or directly telling them, like their first few offenses? Are they aware or are they really not aware of what they were doing that's crossing your boundary? To them, it's all of a sudden, but to you, it's a build-up.
Yeah, I think that for them, maybe they never understood the real weight of it in every moment.
Mm,
Even if I mention it, I'm not saying the words, "Hey, this is very important to me. Please
ah,
do this for me. If you do this, then we can be close." I'm not saying any of that, right? I'm just saying it
mm,
casually, like, "Hey, could you please not sit so close to me?" Or that's just an example. If I
mm,
were to just say that, right? From their point of view, they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, but like it's not a big deal." In their head, they're
mm,
probably thinking it's not a big deal, and then they forget, and then they do it again. And then from
mm.
my point of view, I'm like, "Okay, I already asked like 3 times." So yes, like you said, I agree. It's like a build up for me, but it's
Ah,
from them for their point of view. It came out of the blue.
interesting. To be able, I guess, fix or to avoid having that kind of experience, do you think they should be more active or considerate of other people, or do you think you don't express enough or directly than you could have?
I think in hindsight, it's a bit of both.
Mm.
I
Mm.
think that even to this day, I feel like I don't communicate things as clearly as I could.
Mm.
There's always improvement for how I can communicate it. Like how I mentioned before, I can put a bit more emphasis on it and explain that it is very important to me rather than
Mm.
just kind of casually saying it. But in the moment, I'm thinking if we can't get to a point where they can understand where I'm coming from, then it's
Mm.
not worth
Yeah, I
continuing.
guess.
Have you ever had a door slam moment since you're not an INFJ?
Uh, yeah, I guess from what I've read, it's like people have different ways. Like even in INFP, they say that it has that, but a different version, I think. It's more ghosting than door slam.
Uh,
I guess in my case, at least, not that able to confront unless really, really needed or really triggered. But it's
mhm.
more vanishing gently. And
Yeah, that's fair. I think one of the factors for us is that we like to have deep, meaningful friendships, any
yeah.
relationships really. I'd like to have a deeper relationship with my family if I could, but
Mm,
what's easier to control and nurture, in my opinion, is friendships and romantic relationships.
mm,
And yeah, if we're just talking about friendships, those are the ones who have a bit more distance between me and them
mm.
compared to the potential of family and a romantic
Ah,
relationship.
mm-mm,
In reality, it can be different, but I'm just saying that the potential
mm,
is different. And
mm.
with friends, I can see how, from their point of view, if when we first started being friends, it's kind of like the equivalent of the honeymoon phase
Ah,
where I
yeah.
go all in. I feel like there's nothing wrong with this
Mm,
friendship. I would really like to nurture this. And so, from their point of view, they're like, wow, Leanne's putting a lot of energy into this. And I
mm,
feel very good in this friendship. I feel secure. I feel safe. I feel
mm,
like we're having a lot of fun. We really connect.
mm.
And so, from their point of view, if I come from out of nowhere saying, hey, you don't respect my boundaries, let's stop being
Ah,
friends, I can see how it's like very disappointing. Like, what? I
eh,
thought that this was going really well. And
uh,
from my point of view, I'm like, yes, I thought so too, until this thing happened that you can't
Mm.
understand.
Ah, yeah. Would you say, because in my case, at least, for example, I think I classify not classify, but more, so I observe. At first, I am not quickly open or quickly close with them. Like I'm slow to warm up. Classify them as in how close do I put them to me? Like, would I be my real self with them, as in the all the thoughts, sharing everything, or more the proper, still kind, still me, but like the controlled one? Do you also think you do that to people? Like you gauge them first, you screen them, how much you'll trust them, or how much you'll put them close?
This is interesting because I'd say that that was me now, but it
Mm.
wasn't me before. And that's probably why I went through so many friendship breakups slash door
Ah.
slams in my life, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think too much that I had to filter them before starting a friendship. I thought that we could
Mm-hmm.
just start it and then figure it out along the way.
So then what draws you to people at first, like to honeymoon phase with them? What's the pattern there?
I wouldn't say there's a pattern that's consistent between my adult life and my younger child, teenager life. Back then, it could be for anything. I could be drawn to them because of the same interest or hobby, or just that I found them funny, or that there was a conversation that really gelled and then I wanted to talk to them more. It could be anything. But as an adult, I feel like they have to tick certain boxes, like multiple boxes, not just one. And they're very generic things that I would say that I would look for people that I want to associate with in general. Really generic things that people would even say that they look for in romantic relationships, like kindness and
Uh-uh.
honesty and genuineness, and
Mm.
just it feels very cheesy to say, but it's just like really simple things in my opinion.
So then now you would say that you're more careful in choosing your people. Like you
Yeah,
observe
for
them
sure.
first. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you'd say that you were very different when you were younger versus now.
Yes.
Mm.
I might even classify myself as an extrovert back then. I'm not
Oh.
sure.
Mm-mm.
I'm not sure if maybe I never knew myself and I've always been an introvert, or have I changed from an
Uh-uh.
extrovert to an introvert? I don't know how to answer that question, and I've always wondered it, but I was definitely different to now.
I guess I also know someone who is like that. They say that they're in the middle, extrovert and introvert. But I'm thinking, which one is the more default or can change anyway?
Yeah,
So,
and then there's the ones
mm.
where they say extroverted introvert or introverted extrovert. I haven't
Ah, uh-huh.
grasped exactly what that means yet, but I could be one of those.
I guess it's also with you know how sometimes if you're understimulated, you need to connect to people. You're in
Yeah.
your extrovert mode. But then if you have too much of that, you want to be away from them for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
You mean, are you saying that there are people who exist out there that only want one and not both?
I guess, yeah, at least from the people I encounter. Like my family, for
Well,
example, they're more extrovert. As in, if they're just at home, they're really bored and want to go out. Like, especially during COVID, like that was punishment for them. Whereas to
oh,
me, it's
okay.
like vacation at home, stay at home.
Yeah, I really liked being in quarantine.
Around the same time that I realized the difference there. Because I thought that before being an extrovert means you're more social, but it's not necessarily social, but really the where you feel more energized. Is it when
Yeah.
being by yourself or by with other people? So now you would
Mm.
say that you're more recharged when you're by yourself.
Mostly.
Mostly. I guess
I
there's
feel like
also the mm,
it's very conditional. If I have a friend or a person that I feel
yeah.
like I can really bounce off and we have the same energy
Mm-mm,
and we're really enjoying the conversation, then I
mm-mm,
could really get energized from that more than anything.
mm,
But
mm-mm,
it's on a spectrum, right? I think that if I find the right person to talk to, that's probably the best. The second
mm-mm,
best is me by myself. The third best, or the worst, is having to talk to people
mm.
that I do not gel with in the same way. Then I'm
Uh,
just getting tired.
yeah, I like being in a group, but you feel alone.
Yeah,
I kind of consider that as, I mean, the people you feel that you can recharge with. I guess like your comfort person or the safest person, maybe.
yeah. But it could
Um,
be multiple people to a
mm,
certain
oh
extent.
yeah. Related to the functions again, FE versus FI. Would you think that when you decide something, do you, if it's what will be good for everyone versus what will be good for myself or one person,
Hmm.
which one do you lean more on, or what I
The one
believe in?
person one,
Mm,
because of how I grew up. Like, I felt like I was independent or needed to be independent
mm,
most of my life. And, the mantra of you can't look after other people unless you look after yourself
yeah.
first. I think that the people who will look after the group first,
Mm,
I hypothesize that maybe they had the luxury of feeling secure and supported for most of their, at least, childhood life. Whereas I feel like there was a lot of loneliness in my childhood.
mm,
So I've been used to looking after myself, and so I should continue to look after myself because it's more sustaining
mm,
than to rely on others. And I would want it to work both ways, right? If
mm.
I look after the group, I would like if the group looks after me too. But
Yeah.
I haven't trusted for the group to look after me, and therefore
Mm.
I prioritize looking after myself first.
And yeah, related to that, would you say that you can also, I guess it's also one of the things I've read about FE, is being able to sense the feeling of the group or other people? Or are you more, like, I guess, compared to self, which one can you identify better? How another person feels or how you feel? Like more easily, identify more easily.
Nowadays, probably myself. I don't know, even back then, I feel like I wasn't in tune with anyone compared to now.
That one, I'm not sure if it's like I haven't talked to much FE people yet, if they have it. I've just read about it, like they're good at sensing how other people feel. Whereas in my case, for example, sometimes I might be inconsiderate or insensitive without meaning to, only because I'm not aware that that can happen. So it's like it needs me to jump into their point of view first and then imagine how they could be feeling, and then I'll
Yeah,
be able to relate. But sometimes if I already have that experience or I know someone or I can imagine it quickly, I can feel it quicker, that to the point of crying for someone because I imagine how sad it might be. I so in
I'd
my
say the
case,
same.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. So I'm thinking in my case it's coming from exposure or experience. If I can put myself in their position, I'll be able to like empathize with them. But if it's
yeah.
really not, like it's really foreign to me, I might not right away at least.
Yeah, same. Like, I
Mm,
guess I don't know how much other people can
mm,
sense other people's feelings. Maybe I'm better than the FI, but I guess in my head, I think that I'm still not the best because of
mm.
what you said as well. I feel like if I haven't gone through the same thing, I can't really
Can relate.
sympathize.
Uh-uh.
But if I have, then yeah, like I could cry too, just from thinking about it.
Yeah, related to crying. Would you say that you are okay with people seeing you cry, or only select number of people have seen or know that you are someone who easily cries?
I think as an adult, a lot of people know that I cry a lot. As a kid, I felt ashamed and I try and
Yeah.
cover it. But as an adult, I'm like, screw it. I know that this is a part of me. I do it a lot.
Mm,
Why do I need to hide it? It's fine. As long as
yeah.
I talk about it in a way that hopefully it doesn't make people who are seeing me cry feel uncomfortable, then I'm okay with it. That it's more my problem that I don't care about rather than someone else's problem if they feel uncomfortable.
Part of being human after all.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Interesting.
What about you? Do you feel okay crying in front of
Yeah, I guess
most
same.
people?
Like growing up, it's more comfortable. But I guess with my family, because it's like we don't show it much. So I have learned to not show it. Like even with my parents, when we're watching something that makes us cry, I just keep it to myself. Even though I'm teary, I just wipe it instantly.
Yeah, same. I feel weird doing it with my family.
I guess it's more what I've gotten used to with them. Because if you cry, it's like, oh, you're a crybaby, or growing up like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
maybe
how it
that.
can feel like.